Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day you've given us. We thank you for the rain you provided us over the last week, dear Lord, and we just ask that you continue to be with us and lead us and guide us and be with our men and women as they go about the business of protecting our citizens. Dear Lord, we just ask that you watch over us, lead us, guide us, and protect us. These things in your holy and precious name we ask. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Okay. We have the president of the Noonday Board here, and I think there's a representative from Citizens Martin here. And I don't know of any other special guests that we have that I know of. Okay, that's item 3. Item 4 is public comments. We have anybody signed up for public comment?
I received none.
Okay. Having none, we'll move on to item 5, which is the consent agenda. Under 5.1 is the Board of Commissioners meeting on August the 1st. There is one correction that needs to be made on that. Item 4 should be item 2. Item 2 should be item 3, and item 3 should be item 4. And I think that will get it back in chronological order. And I saw no on the other ones.
Make a motion that we approve the prior meeting minutes with the exception noted for August the 1st, as well as the special call meeting August the 10th, special call meeting August 16th.
I have a motion by Commissioner Domney that we approve the minutes of August the 1st with the changes, the special call meeting of August the 10th, and the special call meeting of August the 16th. Have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. 5.2 financial reports. July 2022, Smith County.
We have our regular monthly report from the GMP as well as our distribution report. And under review, we'll have no comment throughout one of them. Make a motion to accept both financial reports as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Domney that we accept both financial reports as presented. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 6, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to payment of accounts, bills, invoices, payroll, requests for reimbursement, requests for other payments, transfer of funds, and amendments under 6.1 and probably 6.2 and 6.3, I would guess.
Yes, it is. The only thing that I would note is if you look at our FR girls, you look at it, they have a $17,000. There are 3 items in there that exceed the $2,000 limit that require prior board approval, all 3 of which have received that approval. The same goes for under Metro Fire, with SCBA repairs, and then emergency. And then we did have one emergency repair for First President 2, turbo at 5,513, which we all acknowledge is for emergency repair. The only item that I did note is that we did have some tires purchased under fleet repairs for by non-engine 1, exceeded that limit by $6. So
I understand that prices have gone up, and I didn't realize that normally I can get by with a set of 4 tires on the road with a truck. Probably over 2,000. I've seen that.
okay, so I mean, that was the only one that I noted in there. I'll make the motion that we approve all the payment of bills under 6.1, the contract payment under 6.2 and 6.3.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Domney. We make the payments under 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3 with which are our contract payments and our credit card payments and just paying our bills. Have a second? Second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion or question? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay. Let's get back up here to item 7. Item 7, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on application for grant for TIFMAS apparatus. I guess you're going to speak on that, Chief Smith?
Yes. What I'm coming to the board to request is permission to proceed with putting in an application for a TIFMAS apparatus. What that means is we put in an application through the TIFMAS program. The TIFMAS program awards trucks to entities that participate in the TIFMAS program. There are no matching funds. There's no cost for the equipment, so the truck will arrive. It will come fully equipped to the list based on what type of truck it is, type 6, type 3, tender. So there's no cost for the equipment, there's no cost for the truck itself. The only thing that we agree to do is that we agree to insure it and maintain it. So that would be like oil changes, tires, things like that. Once awarded, we would then have the option to accept the grant, and the truck would be received once it's complete. It'd be titled to the district with a lien from TFS. ESD2 would insure and maintain the vehicle, and once we deploy it, we get reimbursed for the deployment of the vehicle. So just like we do now with the vehicles that we own now, that we are deploying, it would be the same process. The type of truck depends on what they're giving away at the time. So right now they have some type 3 that are being built that are not allocated yet. Those allocations, when I spoke to TIFMAS this week, I believe those allocation meetings are in the spring. Originally I thought they were in October, but they're actually in the spring. And the way they allocate is they use a rating guide and a grading guide, and you're on a tiered system. Well, we're currently sitting in the top tier. I can't tell you where we're at in the top tier, and I can't tell you how it will work, where they are going to send the trucks. So I feel like we have a good chance to receive it. We can use it for mutual aid calls, training, PR events. We can use it in our district here, with the exception of it can't be the first out truck unless it is acting in place of something that's down for maintenance. So we can use it as a reserve. I did some numbers on it. It appears it'll be about $1,000 a year to insure the truck, and talking with Crowley, approximately, and this is probably worst case scenario, about $7,000 a year in maintenance. That would include tires, oil changes, and things like that. So at this point, I've also included in the board packet the agreement that we would sign in the event that we're awarded the truck, and the rating guide that I was able to pull from the TIFMAS website. But do you guys have any questions?
Mr. Cole, you looked it up? Fine with you?
It's okay. The only thing, there's no term to it. These obligations continue indefinitely.
Yeah, and they'll depreciate the truck. Like eventually they'll depreciate it out. So yeah, and replace it.
Yeah, they have the option to come pull it in one time and they wish as well.
Yes.
If we don't meet if we can't respond or whatever after so many times, I guess that would probably do that.
Yeah.
There may be times we can, and there may be times we can't. And as long as it's not, we get the truck, never respond to anything. And it would save us too. We don't have to send our equipment that we buy.
We think the maintenance on it actually be $7,000 as the second out.
It'd all depend on how much it does get deployed and how much it is used. That was just kind of basing it off of a couple sets of tires a year and 5 oil changes a year. And those were high numbers. I hadn't had a chance to really, I found out about it yesterday, and I didn't have a chance to call like Southern prices on tires and stuff like that. So we just kind of threw out some fairly high numbers.
Yeah.
And we could probably, realistically, we'd probably come in a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, if I'm wrong, if it does get deployed and they run a set of tires on the incident replaces that kind of damage or wear and tear.
Yeah, so if it's deployed, they take care of that while it's, yeah.
Pardon me, was the board president need to sign this agreement?
Yes, the board president.
So this agreement that you're looking at is in the event that we are awarded. The application can be signed by myself or Mike, is what it says on the application. So.
So what you're asking for is permission to make that.
Yes, and I wanted the board to be aware of what would happen in the event that we are awarded.
And even if you were awarded, you do have another property to look it over and decide if you want to accept the award.
Correct.
Sir, you got any questions about it? Do you have any questions?
No questions.
I think I reason we can't make an application for it, I mean, we're gonna get it, but we can just make an application for it.
First I looked at this, but it's the same as do all the other grants we apply for. We encourage everybody to apply for all they possibly can, so this being no exception. They ought to apply. If we get it, great. If we don't, then we just keep on conducting business usually.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we allow Chief Smith to make the application.
Well, do we need to make the motion here? I mean, do we want to set the precedence that we're going to approve all grants prior to submittal?
We want to submit it, just say go ahead and submit it, I guess we'd have to approve it if we're going to accept it.
We said, yeah, I agree with you there.
Okay, well then, go ahead and make your application, Judge.
Receive.
Don't have to worry about it unless we get it. Okay,
Will do.
all right. Item number 8, discuss, consider taking necessary action on purchase of uniform for Board VFD. From FR Girl,
Yes.
don't speak on that.
I'll speak on this one. So this is not unlike anything we've done in the past. So Bullard has put in a request for uniforms for their personnel. Captain Trotty has reached out to FR Girls and got the pricing on that, and that pricing would be $2,670.50. Bullard is still within they're still within their allowance. So. These are not, because it's still under this budget year. And I know Captain Trotty's had a conversation, or I believe he's had a conversation with one of Captain Grammer, maybe even Chief Riley about that, but I'm not sure how that went. He went ahead and sent it on up, so.
Still within budget, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the purchase of the uniform from Ford DFD for $2,670.
Have a motion by Commissioner Downey to make the purchase for the uniform for Board for $2,630. Is that right? Second. Second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 9, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the Texas Forest Service PPE grant for Flint Gresham VFD.
I tried to present on this last time we had a meeting, but unfortunately we got a structure fire and I went and took care of the structure fire. We were awarded this grant earlier this year. I actually mentioned it in one of the previous board meetings, but I didn't actually put it as a item on there. Realized it a couple months ago and have been trying to get it on the agenda ever since. We have not ordered anything, just to make that clear, but the grant will expire at the end of September. We are supposed to be sizing for it when NAFCO comes back through. I believe, speaking with Chief Morello, they're going to be here the first week of September, I believe, to do sizing for the ESD, and we're going to try to get in there and get sizing for our people as well. Our intent with it is to purchase structural firefighting gear for our members. We've got a number of members who have either don't have gear, they're certified firefighters, but they don't have anything right now, or they have piecemeal gear that's just been picked apart from what's available up at Fleet Maintenance right now.
What's the total amount of the grant?
So the amount of the grant is $20,000. It's a 90-10 cost share. So we would have to pay, they will pay the full $20,000 if we spend $22,222.22. What I think I'd prefer to ask for is $2,500, so that if we have a little bit of overflow, so we can get the maximum amount of that benefit from TFS.
Any questions?
No questions. I make a motion then that we approve the matching funds up to $2,500 for the purchase of the PPE for the compression vehicle.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Domney that we approve a match up to $2,500 for the PPE grant for Flint Gresham Fire Department. I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, this was an item that was asked to be put on the agenda by Commissioner Wilson. He called me today and he is sick, so he asked that we table item 10 until the next meeting. And so if nobody has any objections, we'll table item 10 to the next meeting. Okay. Moving on to item 11, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on fire chief's presenting discussing issues with the board for future action. Okay, Chief Arnold.
Short and sweet.
All right.
Everything looked good in ARP. We don't have any major incidents that came up. As far as recruitment, we didn't have anybody this month, but we're still working on the 3 that applied. We've got one of them completed. I guess the other 2, did they ever get in touch with you? Okay, so we've got applications in process now.
Okay.
Other than that, everything's good. Anybody wants to buy a raffle ticket, just meet me after we get through and I'll fix you up.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
No, I don't have any. No, thank you. Thank you, Mac. Bullard.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. It's been a good month in Bullard again. 91 incidents, no responses, and no one-person responses. As far as recruitment, I'm sorry, we're still keeping pretty busy with the last group of new recruits that we brought on. We have 6 going through Firefighter 1 training at the moment, getting them ready for to do some live fire in the next couple of months. Facebook presence continues to grow, another 158 new followers in the last month. We try to post activities and events that we do on Facebook, such as we did one of our firefighters, his wife works for SPCA at the national level. She's involved in their forensics with moving animals out of areas that are being investigated by FBI or by local law enforcement. And so she has 15 or 20 years experience in veterinary medicine. We had her come and give training on pet oxygen administration, as well as first aid CPR on pets and animals. And so things like that are really good. The community really seems to respond to things like that. We put that on Facebook and it had a reach of almost 50,000 within the first couple of days. We did get a grant it was through a private company to purchase a Lucas device. And so that's been purchased, or it's been, the order form has been submitted, so those parts are slowly starting to trickle in. They said it could take up to 13 weeks to get the full product in, and then we'll be setting up a training to make sure everybody knows how to use it. A Lucas device. It's a auto compression for CPR.
And that was a grant that was fully funded, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've already contacted or been reached out to in contact with Brook Hill and Bullard ISD. We've set up and scheduled their fire prevention and awareness dates for October. So we hope to have a good turnout with that, like we do every year. We had materials donated to Bullard by Lowe's, Home Depot, and Harry's Hardware. We plan to make a bunker gear dryer so that as firefighters wash their gear, they can hang it on this rack. We purchased a couple of heated dog blowers that blow heated air into the system. It'll help dry the gear quicker so that they can get back in service quicker.
I think, don't we have like a schematic of the ones that we built or whatever?
I shared it, or we shared some information back and
I
forth,
think
so.
the
yeah.
schematic I got from Chief Madden from Sweetwater Fire. Met him last year at Teeks, and he gave us a really good setup that they've been using. It'll dry 5 sets of gear at one time. It also has options for boots and gloves independently of the gear.
I'm just going to try to make it easier for y'all.
Yes, sir.
Trying to reinvent the wheel.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We did have a water transfer pump donated to the fire department. Just a very small gas-powered pump, moves about 60 gallons per minute. We made it a project to put that on our fireboat, and we have a small section of hard suction line that we can put down into the lake, and we're flowing a good amount of water off our boat now. I think in the last, from what I hear, the last 10 years, they might have only had one boat fire in Bullard, but I think I was kind of of the opinion if it works once, then it was well worth the little bit of money that we put into it. So I reached out to the BCs and to Chief Smith to let them know that we have that resource available in Bullard. And Chief Murillo did stop by, gave him a little demonstration of how it worked and everything. So if we're ever needed on either one of the lakes, that's a good resource that we have available in the county. And I think the last thing I have here, I want to say thank you to Mike and Seth. Sometimes I'm sort of the choke point for information that comes out, and I had 5 or 6 people bringing issues to me all at one time, and so I wrote an email to Mike and Seth, kind of outlining 5 or 6 trucks that were having issues at one time, and they both called and asked clarifying questions and wanted to know more information, and the next day they were out there taking care of stuff for us, so we really appreciate that. All right. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chapel Hill, Chief Peterson.
We've been pretty busy out there in Chapel Hill, and we're staying with everything we got. I went to Chapel High School for back to school deal to try to do some recruiting at the high school on, that was August, let's see, I think 16th, so before they got started school. And then also we're going to be going this Friday, the football game at the high school. They're honoring the fallen deputy that was killed, and so they're honoring all first responders there as well. So we're going to be out there with that. And also they're having their parade on Labor Day for their homecoming. So they're doing that as well for them as well. I did have one new member. I already have put the application in, and it should be going through. And I got another one that's going to be coming in next meeting I have another one that's going to be trying to join. So we're still getting guys coming. Also, I've got 2 cadets staying at my station right now through the Fire Academy at TJC. And I am in contact with another one coming from Canada, which he'll be here just before Labor Day. He'll be going to Kilgore Fire Academy. So I have 3 cadets at my station staying there as well. And I'll have them fill out application too, to where they want to ride a truck, so that'll cover them under the insurance. So that'll help us out on some runs there as well. And that's all we have. Got anything else?
Okay, thank you. Anybody from Dixie here? Chief York here? No? Point Gresham? Rand?
Not a whole lot to report. The 4 one-person responses, 2 of them, well, one of them was during a severe weather incident. Our attack truck went down there along with Chief Harper from Noonday. It was 1 person from each department, not really truly 1-person response. Sorry, there's an incident over in Dixie that we're getting paged out to. The other ones, there was a large grass fire over in Chapel Hill. They called me out to bring a drone, so I did, so it's a one-person response for that, but again, not truly one-person response. Most of these, actually all of them, are not truly one-person responses, just variations and combinations of different departments. Ladder 2 is still out. I know that they're still working on it. There were, I just spoke with Mike a second ago, there are still some minor issues with some of the repairs with that, so I believe they're still working on that. Hopefully we'll get it back sooner than later. We have started a project in the district to go through and revalidate all of the fire hydrants in our district, validate that we know where they are, that they are functioning. So we are going through that process on our meeting nights to try to get that up to date. Other than that, I don't have a lot to share right this moment. We did have one last, but I spoke about him during the last meeting. He got brought on board during July, but I spoke about him. He had already applied at that point. It just took a long time for his application to go through. And he's actually going to start the in-house fire academy that the training division is doing along with Kilgore College. So he'll be starting that in September. As well as one of our other members will be in that as well. Mariah Williams will be in that in-house fire academy as well. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Jackson Heights, Chief Thompson.
Good afternoon. We had 3 events for the month of July. 2 of those were training events, and the other one was a school reunion. The one-person response, I'm not sure why it's listed as a one-person response, because their unit was canceled en route. I'm not sure. I'll have to get with Larry on that one. As far as I know, all the incomplete reports have been completed, and the 2 missing reports have been completed. We're still rocking and rolling. We are still working on our recruitment. We do have banners and we do have signs made. We had some issues with the phone, but that has been resolved. They have been forwarded. The only thing that I do ask on that forwarding, can we put Jackson Heights on there instead of just a general forwarding? So long as says the person you're trying to reach is not available, please leave your message. Okay. So we'll get those signs and banners put out because it does have the non-emergency number on it. That's the only contact information that we put on the signs. So we'll get those put out as soon as possible. Are there any questions for me?
Last month you mentioned that before you said that you may have the opportunity to do some recruiting for that. Are you assessing the recruiting for that process?
No, they only did one event within our area because of COVID, and it was a movie night for the kids. We had a call that night, so I didn't get to attend myself, or the department didn't get to attend that event. Everything else was in the city of Tyler. Any other questions for me? Thank you.
I guess Chief Parker had to leave on a call.
Yeah, actually, he had to go to a city council meeting. He asked me to speak on his behalf on a couple of items. Noonday has received the bunker gear grant, the same one as Flint, and that he would be bringing that to the next month's agenda. So he wanted to just let you guys know that.
Anything else?
That was it.
Red Springs. Well, he's probably their board. So, okay. Troop?
We've got one person in for application. He's a paramedic already. He is already certified, I believe, to the first or second anyway. I'm not positive on that one. But as soon as I get his application back, we'll turn him loose. And we've got a fundraiser coming up. They're going to do pictures, family portrait pictures in our community out there. And we've got I'm having a senior moment. My mind went blank. I'll think about it later. I'll let you know. It just went.
You better work it out, or you have to do it at the station, or y'all hosting it, or?
Yeah, we're hosting it. They come in and do everything. All we do is collect money, and then they come in and do the pictures at our station and take care of all of it.
You gonna take that opportunity to try to get a group picture?
We may do it if I can get all of them gathered up in one spot. Yeah.
All right. White House, Chief Champion.
All right, on our report, our biggest thing still, and I know a lot of it's me, because I do, it's one-person responses. It's due to medical calls. I usually just, instead of spending my 5 minutes to get from the station or from my house to the station to get a truck, I just take off and go on direct, because I know I'm going to have an EMS unit on the scene. We'll let you know, we do have a couple of applications out right now that I'm expecting to come back just any time to get started with them with some more new people. One of the biggest things we've got coming up in next month in September, we're going to start out, we've got 3 things. Nobody's mentioned one of them. I'll mention it last. First thing is September the 11th. We have the triathlon at Lake Tyler at the Boulders. It's a 1-day event. Used to be a 2-day event with it, and it's with Christus. They're the biggest sponsor of it. We have units out there and assist. They do the association, the volunteer association. They do a big donation for the big help we did. It's a big event. They have a swimming. Then they run, then they have like a 15-mile bike ride on it. So it's a big event coming up. That'll be on September the 11th. Like I say, it used to be a 2-day deal. And the first day of it, it was all kids stuff. But since COVID, the first year when COVID hit, they canceled everything. Then last year when it started back, they just went to 1-day event with the adults, and that's what they're doing with it again this year, is the 1-day event. So it's always a big deal. Like I say, they do donate a nice little sum to the association for the help. We ask for usually, if you can, 2 trucks from each department to help with it, because when they do the bike run, as long as the bike run, we're not shutting down roads anywhere, but we're patrolling the intersections and helping them through intersections. Giving the bikes the right of way through the intersections on the bike runs. So that event's coming up. The next one Johnny told me about, and it's dealing with our past fire chief. Back for me, Ronnie Fight. We lost him a few months ago with COVID. His daughter is setting up a memorial service. It'll be September the 23rd, 10 o'clock in the morning at Lake Tyler Marina. She's going to do him like Ronnie's brother, Tommy. He passed away before Ronnie did. They set up a tent out there and just did a memorial service, and Johnny asked me about it, so I want to make everybody aware of that. I'm going to try to make sure we're strongly represented there with White House Fire, because that's where he was chief at. The last thing we got going on, and nobody's mentioned nothing about another fundraiser for the association. It'll be the next day, the 24th. It's a fishing tournament on Lake Palestine. Be at the villages. We're going to have a lot of equipment, a lot of stuff out there, so if you got time, come out there and visit. It usually runs from, I think the tournament starts at 6 in the morning, weigh-in's 3 that afternoon. So if you can get away and come out during the day or at the weigh-in, come on. We'll welcome you. Have any questions? Thank you.
Winona, Chief Allen.
All right. Good afternoon, guys. As far as Winona, we've had 2 new applicants. I hadn't heard back from the junior. I'm not sure how that process works. One of them's already back, and I think he's set up to meet with IT. We've been doing a lot of training. I've had 2 guys go and get their accreditation this last month, finished up with all their skills, took their written test, passed all that, waiting on certifications to come in the mail, and that's about all I got.
I've waited for my comments to you at the last, just to give Mac a little break of always getting hit. But, Mac, don't take this personal, but I'm actually going to give him a little bit of accommodation. So I did a little bit of analysis on the monthly performance of, how many volunteers actually ran out of the number of people that you actually have on your roster. And you have an 80% participation rate in your group, which is by far best across all the groups. Chapel Hill and Bullard both had really good performance. And then we have some other ones that hadn't performed as well. But one thing that I was really looking at is, just trying to get an understanding of how well your participation is within each one of the districts, and then how many people will you actually potentially have on our rosters that aren't necessarily contributing.
Correct.
And I've done just a general analysis, and we're looking at about 30%, 35%. And I would actually challenge all y'all to go back and look at your rosters. We don't want to discourage anybody from being on the VFDs. In fact, we're trying to get more.
Correct.
But once we have them, and we've invested a lot, and we really would like for them to participate. So if for some reason they don't have the ability to, or there's something, if y'all would just take a look at that, see what we can do to encourage a higher level of participation of all the people we have on our rosters. As it looks like, in each district we have 6 or 7 or 8 that are running lots of the calls, and then the rest aren't. So, and then, like I said, I just went back and did a little analysis and want to commend you on the high level of participation you have in your district.
We try.
Good, thank you.
Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Item 12, Training Division Report. Chief Clinton.
So, I won't spend much time. You have the report there before you. We had several things going on this past month. We've been doing vehicle applications, the various vehicle education, vehicle record that participated in that allowed us to come to their facilities and do the training there.
gonna do that law enforcement deal, see if we can get some press coverage on that, and stuff like that. That'd be good for the public to see. Because much stuff is going on with the school shootings and stuff like that. All right, 13, Human Resources Report.
Okay, I wanted to bring you the results of my findings for the tester's volunteer retirement. This is I know that you all had sit in on a presentation for this previously, so I know that you're aware of the program itself. I did outline the certain information as far as, what the monthly contributions, what the requirements are to be a member. But on the second page is what I kind of wanted to talk about, was that depending upon the number of years that they are in service, depends upon what their lifetime benefit would be. And you can see the graph there, that if it's $36 average, what their lifetime benefit would be based on 10 years, 15 years, 20, or 25. And then there's one for $50 or $100 contribution. Those are just examples. Of course, we can do anything in between that we want to do. The minimum is 36, though. I estimated the costs based on active members, and I based it on 30 with the information that I've received, that we probably have about 30 that qualify at this point, that we think qualify. So if we did $36 annually, it would be the $12,960. If we did 50, it would be $18,000, or if we did a $100 contribution, it'd be $36,000. So I didn't know if you had any questions on that.
What qualified them as an active member?
The qualifications here are at least 20 hours of annual training and attends 25% of department emergencies, and attends 20 hours of it says that again, so sorry, and provide support services for at least 25% of the department's emergencies. Oh, that's on there twice, sorry. So that's basically the criteria, but the board has to be established to govern it, and they can actually set their criteria as well.
I guess I'm just surprised that we only got 30 that qualify.
It's a rough guess.
It's just a rough guess.
Still, how many volunteers do we have across all departments? And I can do the math probably pretty quick here. I got that. Let's see. On the current roster, I'm only about 160-ish. Just real quick math on it. I guess I'm really surprised we only got 30 that qualify as actors.
It's the 25% rule based on that. So there's not many that hit 25%.
And again, those are rough estimations at this point. If you doubled that to 60 people, then it's double rounds.
I didn't go over my numbers earlier when we were talking about Winona participation, but looking across, in the last month, we've had a district as low as 27% participation rate out of the people they have on their roster. The average is going to be in the mid-50s. So out of all we have that just ran something last month, we're looking at not only 50% participation. And that to me is concerning within itself. And then this is just reinforcing that we don't have a large participation of our volunteers.
Two of the testers representative kind of talked a little bit about that. And one is, he says, what some boards will do is they'll say 25% is say structure fires, not like medical costs.
Right.
And also there's some evidence in their historical data that this can increase participation because it's an incentive. People will want to participate more after this.
But it's not as much commitment on behalf of this board as it is on the behalf of the association and the board that they have to establish.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
We're essentially going to provide the funds. They actually need to do
Right.
the work, yeah.
So do we need to let them establish their board first before we do that? I would think.
I personally would like to see them establish their board and establish their criteria for how many's going to qualify, bring that back to us for funding.
I think that'd be a good idea.
If they're going to do it.
Testers, is there any rule that we can't do that?
Not that I'm aware of, I'll have to check.
We'll
but-
check and make sure
Yeah,
that that
yeah, I
doesn't
just have to check.
break some rules.
Yeah.
You know.
And to be honest with you, if we're going to be able to do it, I'd really like to be able to do it for more than 30, but I mean, I understand there is a limit. There's got to be a floor somewhere.
Right.
But we can't provide it for everybody.
Would it be a caveat that if the board does their form and do their groundwork, then it would be safe to say that our board is supportive at this point of that action?
I would say at the minimum at least.
Right, yeah.
At least the minimum, the $36 a month
Okay.
minimum. I say we would do that at least.
Okay, all right.
And then
Yeah,
see what
we'll say the
numbers are
minimum,
and
but
go
if
from there.
it's what we can do more, we'll do more.
Right.
And then there is the option that you can buy back up to 15 years.
Right.
And we do have 5 years to make that decision. So you don't have to make that at day
Right away,
one.
right. Understood that.
Right.
I just want to establish our baseline of how many we're going to have, and then we can actually look at how much we can actually fund towards it.
Okay, okay.
And once you see those roster numbers and stuff, you're board,
Yeah. And I want to see the commitment from the association that they're going to form the board and do all the work that needs to be done. Because I mean, it's not just the one-off time, it's a continuum.
twice a year they meet.
Yeah.
Right.
So Chief Mulgrew, when do you think your volunteer association could meet and get a board picked to work on this stuff?
And we actually assist with that. One of our team is on their board, so we can help get that all glued together.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all want to call a special meeting and try to get it done, get your board formed and start working on it as fast as you can. So that'd be left up to y'all.
Yep.
Y'all have to form a board and come up with all the recommendations for this thing.
Okay. All right, then the next one is an additional retirement plan for the career staff. Right now, of course, we do have the pension plan that you all contribute to. This one is a 457B, and this would be at 100% at the cost of the employee if they, well, not 100%, I shouldn't say that. There are some fees associated, but as far as contribution, it's 100% on the employee if they choose to contribute to this retirement plan. I did get an assessment on some different plans. John Hancock seems to come in at the less expensive. There is a one-time setup fee of $750, and then there is an annual administration fee of $1,800. Those would have to be paid by the ESD. Then there are some other fees associated with the different, my mind just went blank, the different, what do you call that, investment plans, sorry. So there are fees associated with the investments, and that comes to $42.20. This is an approximation, of course, but that could be handled and covered by the participation, or the participants, I should say. So, or we could choose as ESD, of course, to cover it as well.
So we're looking at nominally a minimum of about $2,500 annually that the ESD would fund.
Well, it's $1,800.
Well, but, okay, yeah, that's right. 750 is just the one.
750 is one time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's only $1,800.
Right.
Do we know how many of the paid staff want to participate in that 457?
Not at this time, I don't. I haven't taken a poll on it. I've just,
Jared? Y'all get us a number. Okay? I don't see putting out a bunch of money if only 2 or 3 is going to do it, you know? But if you got, everybody wants to be involved in it, or majority of them do?
After our next meeting, I'll get you a hard number.
Okay. Sounds good.
okay.
All right.
All right. And then the other thing was on the safety report. I only had one safety report to report on this past month, and it's actually on an accident, so I don't really consider it really a safety, but it's Jackson Heights engine number 1's rear brake drum exploded and hit a passenger car that was following, causing damage to the vehicle. So that is the only one that has come in.
participation in safety reports, near miss reporting. And I appreciate the fact that, yeah, we had that incident, and, you know, we ought to analyze root cause. You know, why did our brake drum so far? Is it maintenance? Is it the way that we're driving? I mean, we ought to go through that whole process on why that occurred, and if we have any corrective action we can take. But for me, the most important part about this is looking at the potential incidents that were out there that could have had catastrophic, you know, not necessarily just the ones that occurred, but the ones that could have occurred, and we try to learn from them the same as if they had occurred. I mean, so if we would identify that we're at risk for exploding brake drums on our vehicles, and the potential outcome is striking another automobile, and we did that root cause analysis for that and determined what it was, and that we would have prevented it from ever occurring, theoretically. And that's the whole premise behind this, what we want to do. I just can't figure out how do we spark interest with you guys and gals in doing it. I mean, it's not hard.
I'd like to know what caused it to explode.
Right.
I mean, the thing about it is, it can happen on anything, but was it a faulty drum to start with, or bad part from the factory, or what, you know?
So let's set this one aside. We had two firemen that went into the building and were actually burned after they made entry there. And we've done the root cause analysis on that. Again, had we identified that risk prior to it actually happening and came up with a corrective action, we could have prevented two firemen from getting injured. That's the value of what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to prevent it before it ever happens. The best way to do that is to look at those things that may, you know, potentially would have created those situations, identify those, and treat them as if they happened, and take the corrective action. And I guess I'm just bewildered on why we're not willing to participate and do that. I mean, it's for our own safety.
Do y'all do any kind of a drawing out of the participants in the safety reporting? Like I know some companies incentivize that by saying, you know, each month we're going to take, you know, legit things that are brought forward. And out of that group, we're going to give away a lunch or something. There's, you know, and it kind of, you know, encourages some participation in a safety conversation.
We do. So first off, it's mandatory that all of our personnel participate. It's a condition of employment, is that you participate in all of our programs. What we do is we recognize those that have gone the most hours or through certain periods with the best overall performance. But as far as this particular program where we're doing near miss reporting, no, my knowledge of the county, there may be some out there, but I mean, if that's what we're going to do here, put it forward to us. I think it's really important. And I just can't.
I will, and I know that you're not going to like this, but culturally speaking, among firefighters and police officers in the county, you know, some things that people have a little bit of a switch about being a safety issue, they don't.
Right. I mean,
and we've got to culturalize our folks to recognize that and really, you know, I think from a training standpoint, and maybe not in the same essence that I write something to the safety reporting to say, I readily acknowledge that modern homes burn faster and hotter than they ever have, and your gear will get you further into that problem than it ever has, and that, you know, that's why we have new nozzles, new hose, and the training that we're offering to interrupt that potential safety issue. You know, I think we're addressing some of those things, but certainly we need more data to drive the training.
Yes. So that's what we do. I mean, we looked at had a project where we were having a tremendous amount of hand injuries, and we really focused on the root cause behind hand injuries, and we got it from all the near miss reporting that we had, and we actually were able to change it. I mean, we almost eliminated it. And we were the same way, the construction industry the same way in the 60s and 70s. It's just part of the work that you do. People get hurt, people get injured. Well, the insurance institution actually changed our behavior. They're the ones that said, until you actually become safe, then your insurance premiums are getting ready to go out the roof. And so our corporations made the decision that we're not willing to pay it, so they started implementing the program. But the value is there, and the value to me goes way beyond whether my insurance premiums went up or down. It's saving life and limb. And it's really the human impact that's the real benefit to it all. So if we need, whatever we need to do, and I'm opening this up to everybody sitting here, everybody listening, make those recommendations and tell us what we should be doing to help change our culture so that we recognize the risk and are actually willing to take action and change our behavior so that we're not at risk.
You know, there's been a lot of work done in the emergency service over the last few years with that culture of safety. You hear about conferences about it and everything else. And just encouraging at every level. If you're on an incident and you're the incident commander, you're the chief, and the lowest level firefighter as far as seniority, you've been at work a week, he's a rookie, should still have the ability to say stop. And you have to preach that culture that it's, to get away from that feeling of, well, I'm not going to say anything, I'm the new guy, or I don't want to get in trouble, or whatever. No, if you're doing an evolution and you see something that is going to be unsafe, you have the right to say stop, and everybody stops and says, why did you say that?
What's the obligation to say stop?
Yes, no matter what rank you are or anything. And I think we need to do some work to promote that culture that safety has no rank. It's every single person on that event can say stop.
And the purpose of this, again, is not punitive. It's
No.
it's not to find fault in anybody. In fact, it really takes a bigger person to sit down and say, I made a mistake.
That's right.
And own up to it. But if you can say that I made a mistake and the outcome could have been this, what? Well, first off, you're the winner because you didn't get hurt. Second off, you're saving somebody else. To me, it's just, I think it's so important. We're disappointed that
We may want to take a more proactive look at that and some of the newer techniques towards that. And put together some proposals on that. I think it's a great idea.
That's all I had.
No, sometimes I don't like it when I'm on my soapbox.
Well, we all get there from time to time. All right,
It's a good one.
moving right along. I guess Chief Information Officer report, and then we have a couple of items each requesting under that, or one item under that. Larry?
Yeah, there's just one item under that, and then I'll give y'all a verbal report. I'm not sure why my paper report's not in there. I'll send that out tomorrow to y'all via email so you have that insight.
So tell us about your request here.
So the request is for a replacement uninterruptible power supply. Conditions all the power on the mobile command platform. The one that's in there's got a charging system fault, and we're having to replace batteries in it constantly. This is actually going to take us from needing 2 UPSs in that command platform to only 1, and will also give us a manual bypass switch to more easily transfer the load if there is a UPS fault. This actually occurred while we were out on a command platform deployment in Lindale. The fault occurred, and it took us quite a bit of time to get everything back up and running because we had to go back and manually move a bunch of plugs around and make stuff happen. So I'm asking that we replace the 2 UPSs that are in the platform with a single larger UPS that has a manual bypass on it, and this would need to come out of the IT equipment reserve. It is not a budgeted item.
When you have it,
That's correct. We possibly could get it refurbished, but this also would allow us to consolidate 2 pieces of equipment to 1 and give us the ability to go to a manual bypass switch. So, that's correct.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the UPS for $4,545.99.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to approve the purchase of the UPS for the mobile command platform that costs not to exceed $4,546. Have a second? Second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Okay, and I'll give you all a slight verbal report here. Like I said, I'm not sure why my report's not attached. I'll send that out by email. I can tell you that we've progressed very nicely here over the last couple of weeks on the point-to-point projects. Red Spring Station 1 we brought online today. Winona 1 we brought online last week. Dixie 2, we're almost complete. We've got a few more things to work out at that facility. So we're very close to finishing those. I believe we'll probably finish those entirely the middle part of September, which put us about 30 days ahead of schedule. And we'll come in on budget. Well, we're done with all the expenditures. It's just our legwork at this point. And so if the weather will hold out and let us climb towers, we'll be getting that done. The phone system implementation and migration is going fairly well. We're in the process of porting our numbers from our old carrier to our new carrier, so there are some glitches here and there with how the phone system is working. Once the migrations are complete, we'll be sending out instructions for how to set voicemail, and we'll send out the new extension list. We've been putting those into the facilities as we've started the migration. But we will see a drastic drop in the overall project cost there next year for service. And when the point-to-point projects are finished, we've also reduced our monthly expenditure by about $500 a month on internet costs as well. So, other than that, that's all I have.
All right, item 15, draft investment policy. Mr. Erie?
The investment policy that was attached is basically will bring us into compliance with the Texas Public Funds Investment Act. Secondly, it will allow us to invest the liquidity in higher yielding investments, yet still conservative. And this particular policy that we have for ESD that I propose is significantly more conservative than what is actually permitted under the Texas Public Funds Investment Act. I think it's not perfect, but it's a good start to get the funds deployed and enable us to earn a little bit more money. And then as we move along, we can always fine-tune it.
And it does give us the ability to, the funds are still there. There's no point in time that this has to prevent us from conducting our business.
Right. I know that Eric's worked on it, and I know you've looked at it, and all looks good. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the investment policy.
So made.
A motion by Commissioner Dominy to adopt the investment policy. I have a second?
Second.
All right, a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Eric, for all your hard work on that. And you too, Brent. So, all right. Yeah. Item 16, Chief Operations Report. Chief Smith.
Okay, attached in the book is my two normal statistic reports. Also, if you go to my written report, it's looking like our SCBA masks should start arriving around the 1st of September. Those are the ones that we've had on order for a long time. That was the conversation I had with the vendor about 2 weeks ago. Rip packs, she told me that they will potentially be here around November, so that kind of puts them in that same time frame as the masks. The wildland gear that we ordered, everything that we ordered should be here, all of it, by tomorrow. We've already received quite a bit of it, but the final item should be here tomorrow. So,
Received the invoice.
And we received it, yeah, so he's received the invoice. The Alpha Door is ordered.
When do you think that you're going to be able to have all that distributed out to the...
So you and Captain Trotty were working on that.
I would think that we could have that out by mid-September, easily, and that's being conservative.
Yeah. The Alpha Door has arrived, is what I'm getting at. Our loan to... Yes.
Volunteer and paid?
Yes. volunteer and paid by mid-September.
Distribution will be mid-September for volunteers and paid.
I would assume that that's the case with it all being for both.
Well, I was just curious.
Makes sense to me that it would be.
That's the plan.
Our final deployed personnel should be back tomorrow as well, so that they will be back tomorrow. And at this point, we haven't had any conversation about any more deployments right now. So,
They flooded before we did.
yeah, pretty much. Other than that, I attended a meeting last week with EDCOG about a drill we'll be doing in December. It's being put on by the Department of Homeland Security. They wanted us to be up to speed on that. I'm still gaining details. We're currently assisting with the logistics and those guys, and Mike and Eric on our final budget things. On 8/12, I just want to kind of put this out there. I felt like everybody did a good job. On the 12th, they responded to a wildland fire in the Jackson area. We had 49 acres total that were burned. They actually had no structures damaged, so that was a really good job. I listened to some of that on the radio and was very proud of what I heard, so I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. But other than that, that'll be the end of my report.
I will just comment to you that when I'm looking at the individual districts, and I've done the same thing looking at your report, and it looks like overall out of 332 personnel that we have, we had not only about 217 or 65% that were participated, which went back and did some verse analysis and figured out that it's anybody that had 9 responses or less over the year-to-date period makes up that other 35%. So we do have not only about a 35% no or low participation rate across the whole organization, which is kind of not quite the same as what I looked at in the individual districts, but something we've got to look at is that's equivalent to 117 people on our roster that we're providing insurance for, we're providing gear, we're providing a lot of expense associated with the 117 people that we aren't really gaining any real value from it. Again, my message is not get rid of them. My message is increase the get the participation rate up.
Correct.
And that's what we want to do, right?
Yes. And I'd like to, since the chiefs are out there, so my report includes every member in the organization. So your report includes the members of your department. Mine has everybody. So that way we all understand what he's talking about.
Administrator's report.
In my report, which I actually wrote last Friday, there's said that so that's encouraging. That's very pleased with that. In my outline of meetings, I've got planning going on, a lot of participation, very encouraged that we've been putting teams across the board, internally and externally. That you, one of the information later, people involved in the farm. I did have a meeting with this, our marshal, potential inspections or issue findings for our desired for our personal more than they any questions?
No, I don't think so. I would like to add one thing to your deal. I did get a call from a taxpayer last week, and I talked to Chief Peterson about it. his mother-in-law went into cardiac arrest, and our day crew, I think from Chapel Hill, responded. Is that right, Dale? Yeah. And he called me and just said he was grateful of how professional our people were, the job that they did. And he said, I'm just going to be honest with you, and you probably know who it is, but I tell you, it's Terry Jones. He said the fire guys were more professional than the EMS crews. So kudos to the guys, all of you. So people do call us and tell us things, so just be aware. You know, they tell us good and bad, so I like to hear the good ones. The bad ones we just have to deal with. But you guys just keep up the good job. And that's all I got to say. Item 18 will be a closed session. The board will convene in closed session according with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551071, 551072, and 551074. No action shall be taken while the board is in closed session. Any final decision, or final vote shall be taken after the board reconvenes in open session, and we are in closed session at 7:36. All right. Yeah.
Well, we know where the problem lies.
I call the regular session back to order at 8:35 PM, and we'll move on to, under item 19, those will be moved to another agenda. They'll be tabled at the time. There's no action to be taken on 19.1 or 19.2. Item 20, remarks by the presiding officer and our board members, information updates, items to be placed on future agendas and future meeting dates and times. Guys, just keep doing the good job you're doing, and we appreciate it. I think our next meeting is September the 6th, and that's a budget, public hearing for the budget and tax rate. And we may have a couple of other agenda items, so just watch your emails or whatever for what may come up. And Brent, you have anything? Brad, you have anything? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So maybe.
Second? We are adjourned at 8:30.